Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Anthony here. Today, I'm joined by JP Clement, who is the CEO of Boomtime Marketing. JP, how's it going today?
Pretty well, thanks. And you?
I'm doing excellent, I'm glowing today, you can see. So I've got this great vibe for whatever it is, November 3rd today. But today is not about me. Today is about you, JP. Tell us a little bit about you. Tell us about your background. I'm excited to hear about all the different experiences you've had and how they contribute to your perspectives on strategy and leadership. So why don't you do your intro and then we'll go from there.
Sure. As everybody can hear, I didn't grow up in this country. I grew up in France, but went to business school on the East Coast and decided to stay and become a citizen at a later date. So I've been in US for about 30 plus years. I've been doing marketing for 30 plus years as well. I started in the typical traditional packaged goods marketing. Went on from there to do some direct marketing. Back in the days when direct marketing was done via snail mail. I'm dating myself a little bit here, but that's what we were doing back then. Jumped in the digital marketing space in 1998 with a company called City Search and Ticketmaster.com, where I was VP of marketing. And then I've stayed pretty much in that world since then. Was on what you would call the corporate or the client side for a long time, but then in 2006 joined a social media marketing agency. Back in the days where social media marketing was not even called social media marketing yet. That was in 2006, and then started my own agencies. I had 3 of them, and joined Boomtime very recently to do digital marketing for small and medium-sized businesses.
That's awesome. Yeah, the one that struck out to me the most, or stuck out rather, was when you're doing VP marketing for Ticketmaster online, and because you're looking at they evolved from database to search. So for those of you that know me, I'm a marketing nerd, and marketing has evolved. It's always been a different flavor, and so I imagine you've experienced and tasted all of the flavors, which have added to your depth and breadth of experience and background there.
Yes, definitely. I think, without bragging too much, I think I've probably done every single type of marketing that exists or has existed and doesn't exist anymore. Especially digital marketing, which is a very, very varied, very diverse type of category of marketing. Within digital marketing, there's a ton of things that exist, subcategories of digital marketing. But I definitely learned a lot because that was my first foray into digital marketing, and I came, as you said, from CPG, customer packaged goods marketing, brand marketing, if you want to call it that, and then direct marketing, database marketing. So I did a lot of catalog marketing, loyalty marketing, and things like that. So that was quite a change, but also a tremendous experience, and one that definitely kind of elevated my strategic knowledge. And I'm sorry about this. I learned a lot, but also I was able to bring all the things I'd learned in my more traditional marketing background to bear on what we were doing in digital marketing, which was kind of an interesting transition, but also a very fulfilling one. And by the way, I forgot to mention that I had a chance in business school to decide between marketing and finance, and most of my classmates actually went into finance and consulting, and I decided to do marketing. And because it suited me better as a person, but also because every book I was reading or article I was reading at the time was saying that marketing and finance actually were the 2 ways to get to the top of the company and become CEO of the company. So that's one of the reasons, in terms of strategic moves for my career, I thought marketing was a good one. It took me a little bit of time to get there, but that definitely worked out.
Yeah. Well, what I like about marketing is that, well, especially in your case, you're like a Swiss Army knife in the sense, or French Army knife, as in you've seen all of the different tools, but each marketing function, whether that's within a team in 2020 or in the past, search marketing has a different approach to things. They have a different style. They have a different way of thinking, but through compared to, traditional P&G, everybody, but you still have to understand the customer. but it's such they all have strategy involved. You can't just do marketing, which is like blasting out. You really need to understand all of those components. So taking all of that experience, taking that background, as you have gone in your journey as a marketer and chief strategist and CMO, head of marketing, founder, CEO, what would you say is, why is it important for a company, like the head of a company, the entire organization, the leadership team, to have a clearly articulated strategy? And how does that impact the success of the marketing function? So if you're a marketing leader, this is really a question for you. But if you're a CEO, you should think of this as like, how does this affect your marketers? Because there's the ones who they're bringing the money in large part, not only. But so I'll reiterate my question. Why is it important for a company to have a strategy in order to support the marketing function?
Yeah, so I mean, strategy is really at the core of everything that companies do, or at least should be. In some cases, it might not be, but it should be. And marketing is an integral part of your strategy, whether you like it or not. As in my career, I've met a lot of companies, and helped a lot of companies that discounted marketing or didn't think marketing was that important, and even especially in the B2B space, right, or companies that sell to other companies. And so this idea of marketing being just a cost center, right, and not necessarily something that helps the company from a strategic standpoint, is very, very outdated. And I think there's probably very few companies nowadays that don't take marketing seriously and as part of an integral part of their strategy. And the reason is that marketing is definitely a cost center in a lot of cases, but it's also for a lot of companies a direct source of revenue. So that's why when we do campaigns, we look at the ROI, the return on investment of our campaigns, because it's not just you're just not sinking money into a big marketing black hole, but you also are generating very often a lot of revenue from pure marketing campaigns, which is, as I mentioned, a little bit more difficult to understand for B2B companies typically, because for them sales is what generates revenue, and marketing is what spends money. But it's not really the case, because we do actually most of our work at Boomtime for B2B companies. And in some cases, they're the first time they ever did digital marketing. And so, so to kind of finish answering your question, yeah, I mean, everything marketing does has a place in the larger strategy of any company, pretty much.
Yeah.
So.
Cool. And JP warned me. He's like, we might have a dog visitor today, so that if you're hearing some dog noises, that's what it is. But it's okay, because we love having guests on our show. So really, one key word that came up a couple times was like integrate, because marketing in itself and all strategy is in itself, it needs to be integrated, because you can't have sales without marketing. And even the core value proposition of your business, especially if it's changed in 2020, relies on marketing to be able to shift that narrative. So, as it relates to communicating the value proposition and, let's say, a changing value proposition, how important is it for marketing to be sort of in the loop of that? And what have you done in the past to sort of make marketing be part of that conversation, so that everybody in the company, all the sort of corporate functions, are moving towards in the same place?
Yeah, so integrating marketing into everything is pretty important, but it's not just marketing, right? I mean, every piece of your company needs to strategically work together. Otherwise, you don't have really a big chance of success. And so as a marketer, I've worked very closely with finance, right? I've worked very closely with production. Like, I've worked for food manufacturers. And as a marketer, you have to work very closely with operations, basically, to make sure that the marketing that you're doing is the marketing that you're doing is impacting directly the capacity of the manufacturing plant. So there's a lot of things. It obviously integrates with product, especially in the .com world, in digital marketing. The product that you're marketing is incredibly tightly woven into marketing. It has to be. So I've managed teams, in the past. For instance, I've requested when hired as a VP of marketing for some startups that I've worked with in the past, to be also the VP of product management and marketing, because those two are, if they're too dissociated, you won't be successful. Your strategy will definitely not work. And so, and in a lot of cases, especially again in the digital world, your product is an integral component of your marketing. You can do some of your marketing through your product. So, there's a lot of ways in which marketing has to be integrated, but truly it needs to be talking to pretty much every other single function and coordinating with every single function of a company.
Have you seen the same for services?
Oh yeah, definitely. So I don't really make a difference between services and products. Actually, at Boomtime we sell services, but we've productized them. So we call them products, but what we sell is digital marketing services. So I don't really differentiate, as a marketer, between products and services. It's especially in this day and age of many different ways to do marketing in general, and digital marketing. The difference has become very blurred. And same thing, by the way, between B2B and B2C companies. So some people say, oh, you have to have B2B marketing experience or B2C marketing experience, and those two worlds have converged dramatically in the past few years, to the point where there are very few differences.
So to that end, what is your perspective on, we have like digital companies, and I'm going to call that like 10 years ago, digital companies versus like companies being digitally enabled. From a corporate strategy perspective, how do you see those playing into being like a digital company versus like using digital within what you do?
Yeah, well, in the sense, I think that in this day and age, every company has to have a digital a strategy about how they're going to go about using the digital world to their benefit. And so that could be marketing, that could be distribution, that could be a lot of different things, right? I mean, the world of the digital world is incredibly vast and complex. Digital market, digital in general, and strategy around companies, have to include digital. And for digital companies, actually, there's a lot of digital companies that, or what you call digital companies, that actually are trying to kind of bridge that gap between the physical world and the digital world. And I've worked with several of them, a lot of them startups, a lot of them trying to figure out a way to actually do that. And so this is interesting. There's a lot of very interesting things going on in that world of trying to merge digital companies with the physical process or physical goods. A great example is Uber, right? A lot of people think of them as a digital company. It's all about the app. It's all about everything that they enable through their app. But it's not really a digital company, a pure digital company. And so bridging that gap there is something that is very critical in a lot of respect. And Uber might be like just one example, but there's any company that I can think of that I've worked with, whether it was a digital company or non-digital company, has had to figure out the digital strategy. And actually, I've done a lot of work in the past few years helping very large companies with digital innovation, digital integration, and things like that.
I think the key word for me took out of that was the digital integration, because it's not just like digital marketing. It's just the marketing people have been on that online world. They're the ones who've been coding WordPress websites for 10 years or whatever, and doing all the shopping cart stuff. But looking at how you can incorporate digital and those into all of your processes to create that integration. And that's why, whether it's finance people, whether it's marketing people, or whether whoever, it's having that integration to make sure that the right hand knows what the left hand is doing, because there's less waste, there's greater opportunity, and you can move faster. And I think marketers are fast moving people. So I'm going to step back, and we talked about partnership. We talked about the integration. I guess we're talking about it now. What have you seen in your career, not having to name any names, when people aren't in partnership, when the marketing function or other corporate functions are in silos and they're not working together, integrated? What have you seen, and how has that affected the overall business growth and business direction?
Yeah, so I'm going to state kind of the obvious here, although it's not always been obvious, but look, every experience I've had where silos were created between marketing and, say, for instance, sales, or marketing and finance, or marketing and production, things fall apart, right? And pretty fast. You have to create that integration, break those silos down. There are a lot of synergies that can happen, but also, probably more importantly, there are a lot of things that can fall through the cracks and not work if these things are not totally integrated. And it doesn't go just for marketing versus the rest of the company. It also goes within marketing, especially in this day and age of many different tools in marketing, especially in digital marketing. You have to integrate your marketing too. There's no more silver bullet, right? So as there are no more silver bullets at the corporate level, there are no more silver bullets at the marketing level. So you have to integrate your marketing, and then integrate marketing into the bigger picture. And yeah, I have seen a lot of companies not understanding that, and I've tried myself actually to fix that in a lot of cases, and to integrate, and sometimes especially with startups or companies launching new brands, new products, but I've been involved with a lot of them. Marketing at some point stops being just pure marketing and starts becoming business model and overall business strategy and product strategy and things like that. So there is a significant blurring of these different functions that happens kind of organically in companies, or should happen organically. So when you start putting some barriers or creating some silos, those necessary interactions and blurring of lines becomes a big problem.
You talked about like the sort of the becoming part. How important would you say a company's mission and vision are to the overall company success, but of course the marketing function?
Yeah, so I personally believe they're critical. There's been a lot of talk, a lot of research done, a lot of books written about it, a lot of TED Talks. But there is a guy named I can't remember his first name. Clement is his last name. He's done dozens of TED Talks, and he's done a lot of research also into what makes companies successful. And he realized, and very quickly, and he talks about the why of companies. And he said companies that sell you what they do or how they do it do not succeed as much or as well or for as long as companies that tell you why they are doing something. And so there's a lot of companies that do that incredibly well. They're very famous, like Nike and Apple and people like that. But if you really pay attention to what they're doing from a marketing standpoint, especially, but also from a vision and mission statement standpoint, these companies are telling you why they do what they do, not what or how. And so I've taken that to heart, and I've been kind of a follower of that trend for a while. And actually, when I joined the CEO of Boomtime a few months ago, I spent a lot of time with my management team rethinking the core values, the vision, and the mission statement for the company. So it's taken us a while, but I think we're in a much better place today. And then you disseminate that vision, the mission statement through the rest of the company, so everybody gets on board, right? And you create some kind of a culture that kind of drives everything towards that vision. But it's hypercritical, and I think at least at Boomtime, we're in a better place than we were a few months ago, just because we did that exercise. And I think it goes for companies in general, and for marketing, of course, as a function within a company.
Did you have that in those other, when you worked within the teams, the smaller teams earlier in your career, did you have those set up or not exactly?
It really varied, right? Some companies did not have any kind of mission statement or vision, or teams didn't have any vision. Some did. So it's been a little bit all over the place. But the ones where I've thrived personally the most, and I think that did a better job overall as a company, were those companies and those teams that had that vision and those mission statements and all of that.
Cool. Okay, got a couple more questions for you. One is like, what are you most excited about? Like, what are you looking forward to in your leadership at boomtime, or what are you looking forward to in sort of the macro economy thing that excites you, whether that's digital, whether that's strategy, whether that's digital strategy, what
Yeah.
are you looking forward to in the next couple of years?
Wow, that's a big question. Probably need another podcast to talk about this, but yeah. So look, to narrow it down to boom time, I'm incredibly. I mean, I was given a very tough and significant challenge to basically quadruple the size of the company in the next 4 years. So that's definitely a challenge I'm excited about. A little bit nervous sometimes, some days, but overall something that's really getting me up in the morning and making me super excited to be part of Boom Time and to lead the whole team, with about 30 people to this great goal of becoming this kind of leader in the digital marketing space. We do things very differently. So we have I would call it almost like a next gen digital marketing agency where we do things very differently. We've created our own digital platform that we use to underline and undergird our all our marketing efforts, and we use it for a lot of different things. But I'm excited about growing that and making it even more efficient and more powerful, so we can do better marketing and spend more human time one-on-one with our clients. So that's very exciting to me, I think. And one of the things, that so very few trends in the industry or in the world in the digital world in general that I've been really fascinated by, and that has started to kind of mature a little bit, but are still not quite there. So I'm very excited about. I keep an eye on what's going on in the world of big data. I don't know if you heard that term, but that's something that as an analytics and a data kind of aficionado, you can call it. I've been very fascinated by, and that goes together with another trend called IoT, Internet of Things, which is also something that I think has tremendous potential for a lot of integration and a lot of power in terms of marketing in some cases, but also for companies in general, and something that I think the world is trending that way. And I'm curious and fascinated by where we're going to end up, and this is still in its infancy. So seeing where this is going to go is really fascinating to me.
That's awesome. Because I mean, big data, IoT, all of those things have been around. They've been around as long as you've been a marketer. They just been
Yeah, pretty
different
much.
applications, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And
And by
so,
the way, there is a bit of marketing at play here too, where suddenly it's big data with capital B and a capital D, which is a kind of marketing way to kind of promote this trend that's not necessarily new, that existed for a while, but has been really kind of augmented and sped up by the fact that digital marketing does generate a tremendous amount of data, and that understanding that data, manipulating that data is critical to the success of a lot of digital marketing companies. And then IoT, has been around for a while, but the same thing. I think there is an acceleration of how that's being done and what's going on, and a lot of marketing, new marketing. I call it marketing terms because they are, it's people creating like catchy phrases and names for all these different things, like Internet of Things, like M2M. People talk about B2B and B2C as we just did, but now there's M2M, machine to machine. So there's all these very, to me at least, fascinating things that are happening that are changing the world in ways, and especially the marketing world, but the world in general, in ways that I think we can't really grasp today, but I'm very excited about seeing happening.
yeah, it was like the Moneyball movie where they made decisions based on data, which at that point was just like, hey, like what is statistically there, and
Yeah.
the availability and the cost of actually getting that data, and having a data strategy, which again we could make a whole podcast on, just like a data strategy and a information strategy to help you make better decisions, is huge. Because then you're not just guessing what your customer wants. You can say, hey, they've been on this page for 90 seconds and they clicked this button. That's the level you could do it. And if you're what I'm going to call older school, like talk to your young people, learn about what's possible there, because there's a lot of cool stuff that even still me, I'm like, whoa, like this thing can happen. Like chatbot automation. And anyways, we could do a whole podcast on that, but we don't have enough time. I want to
Yeah.
ask you one more question, JP, unless there's anything you wanted to go back on that big data IoT piece.
No, look, I could talk about this for hours, and if you want to have me again, we can talk about analytics and data, which is something I'm very passionate about, and try to apply to boomtime. We do generate a lot of data for our clients, but I don't think we're doing yet a very good job. And again, as you know, I'm new, but we're not doing a very good job of telling stories with our data, which is as a marketer and a data fanatic, I'm very keen on doing, and I think it's very important not only for ourselves as an agency, but for our clients, so we can tell them stories that even if they don't understand tables of numbers, but we can show them pretty pictures and great words and tell the story with the data that we're generating for them. I think they'll be in a better place too. So anyway, as you can tell, I can talk about this for hours, but maybe for another time.
Absolutely. Well, one more question I have for you. What are two pieces of advice you would give to people who are in the marketing function, who've been in your shoes in the past? What advice would you give them to be successful in the future, to sort of like elevate themselves in the world of strategy, but more specifically, the leadership of being like a CMO or a CEO? What would you give them as advice?
So I would say a couple things. I would say, maybe I'm a bit biased, but really follow the data, right? I mean, focus on data and analytics and facts. Market research can help a lot, either secondary or primary. But follow the data, read the data, understand the data, and that will help you as a marketer, and definitely help you as a strategist overall. And I tell my team all the time, if we can't measure it, we can't manage it. And I think that's very critical, right? You need to be able to do that. So for that, keep yourself up to date on everything that's going on in marketing. It's a very, very, especially digital marketing, it's a very fast changing world. And there's always new tools, new theories, new things that are popping up. Pretty much it used to be on a daily basis, now it's probably on a monthly basis, but there's some very important things that are happening out there that you need to stay on top of to be an efficient marketer, to grow in your marketing capabilities, and then to become a leader, which is what we're talking about, right? And then understand the place of the very important place of marketing in the general structure of a company, and in the world in general. We don't realize it, but as I was talking about, big data, Internet of Things, those are terms coined by marketers basically, and marketing is everywhere. And so understanding, especially in businesses, how it fits there in those businesses and how it integrates with the rest of the functions, is what's going to make you an efficient and powerful leader.
That's awesome, JP. Thank you for that. That's super clear. I think everybody could benefit from understanding the implications of marketing within the organization, and not that it's just a cost center, but really like how integral it is and how it touches every single piece of the business. So JP, where can people get a hold of you? Where can they connect with you? Where can they learn more about your work?
Yeah, so the best way is to go to our company website, boomtime.com, boomtime.com. And you can find me, of course, on LinkedIn. I have a pretty, I spend a lot of time on LinkedIn, meeting people and talking to people. It's JP Clement on LinkedIn. So linkedin.com/in/JP Clement.
Awesome, JP. Appreciate having you today. I look forward to chatting again, getting to know each other more. But yeah, really thank you for the time today. It's been a blast.
Thanks again. Thanks for having me.
Awesome. Well, my guest today has been JP Clement, who is the CEO of Boomtime Marketing. If you know somebody who's wanting to elevate their marketing chops and be a better integrator of their entire organization, be sure to send them this podcast. If you enjoyed today's podcast, be sure to like and share and follow us as we interview more amazing people like JP. This has been the Strategy and Leadership Podcast. My name is Anthony Taylor. Thanks so much for joining us, and until next time.